Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Leaders and Accounting and Finance series. Today we have our guest, Mr. Jonathan Lim, CFA.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. We are really glad that we have Jonathan with us today. And Jonathan basically is an alumni of Monash. Yeah. Okay. And then he is also a CFA holder. So at the moment, I think he works as a Forex, FX, interest rates, and commodities dealer with a foreign bank in Malaysia. Okay, that's a little bit of his background. And today with us, we have Associate Professor Dr. Jothee, who is an expert in this area, Forex, interest rate, and commodity. I'm basically Lim, the moderator, sort of. Once again, welcome, Jonathan. We really appreciate your time and effort, and so that you can share your knowledge as well as your experience to the fellow students, or especially the final year students. So first thing first, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and let us know about your journey? I think you have been away, left the campus for at least 5, 6, 7 years. So can you maybe just brief us a little bit how what's the journey, or how is the journey? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So first and foremost, thanks a lot for having me, guys. Jothee, Chiming, and Neil, Marvin as well. To share a little bit, I have graduated from Monash for about 7 years already. So I have been working in the financial services industry for the past 7 years, and I'm currently working in a foreign bank. I have been in this place for the last 4 years already, and like what Chiming has mentioned earlier, I'm currently a corporate dealer managing different kinds of asset classes, mainly foreign exchange, interest rates, and commodities. So the type of job that we do currently right now, what we do is we essentially manage the market risk of our corporate clients. And what we would normally do is we would provide customizable risk management solutions, whether it is a foreign exchange requirement that they will need to make a payment for, or it could be something towards managing the interest rates exposure that clients have on their balance sheet. So we usually do off-balance sheet risk hedging for them, but also at the same time, what we do provide is that we do provide yield enhancement products to enable clients to potentially earn a higher return as compared to what the usual conventional products or investments that are provided as well. So relatively speaking, prior to that, I was a relationship manager for an international bank for 2 years. And right before that, as I started off my career in the corporate world, I was working in one of the local banks as well, and I was one of the swaps trader in the foreign exchange space for 1 year.
But yes. What do you do exactly now?
So what do I do exactly now is that I'm currently in the sales team. What we call ourselves is we are more of advisors to corporate clients. And what we usually do is we manage our clients' market risk. So in terms of market risk, you can think of things like foreign exchange, interest rates on their loans, on their liabilities, clients with commodity exposures. We do a few number of things. Number one is we would usually provide market updates and what specific views we have towards a specific asset class. And then number two is we would provide solutions, whether it could be something as vanilla as a spot or a forward transaction, or we can enter into derivatives like options and swaps. And it could be exotic ones as well, swaps embedded into options, or it could be like a combination of a few derivatives into one bundle together. So how we normally customize to our clients, it really depends on what is the nature of their business, what is their risk appetite, and how familiar are they with specific kinds of products. But what we always want to do is we will always want to manage it in such a way whereby this would remove the type of uncertainty that they have, so that clients will be able to focus more on their business and not worry about these things that whatever that will be able to help them with as well.
Okay, Jonathan.
Mhm.
Well, you were our alumni. I know you.
Yeah.
And what made you to continue into this finance to go up to this level where you have completed your CFA and you are so passionate about what you are doing now in the finance industry?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again, Mr. Jothee?
No, you were just a student last time, like any
Yeah.
other students right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were majoring in finance. But
Yeah.
what made you to continue to this level that you have completed your CFA and you are so passionate about what you are doing right now? What made you to
Right.
go into this continuously? You went into the finance industry study and
Right.
later you
Okay.
are
Okay.
practicing it.
Okay. Yeah. That's a really good question. So the main reason why I pursued CFA, the CFA examination was because of my interest in finance, and I would like to thank Monash for that. To be very honest, I think what Monash has done through its course and through its syllabus that I have been learning over the past 3 years is that it has built a very strong foundation in terms of in terms of how students are be able to prepare themselves when they want to embark on a journey in whether it's for academic or whether it's the corporate world, and considering the vast arrays of subjects that they have and the types of things that we'll be able to learn, whether it by theory or practical, I felt that when I move on to the corporate world, this was something that I wanted to invest my time and my career in, and it was one of the main decisions that has allowed me to propel into moving towards studying the CFA examination. The unique thing about CFA is that it's very similar to the bachelor's degree in the sense that it tests the breadth of a specific student's knowledge, but also at the same time, even though it covers many different types of asset classes and it has 10 different types of subjects when I was doing it previously, it goes a level deeper than what Monash taught you. So in a way, by having the strong foundation in Monash, the CFA, having that strong foundation in Monash has helped me a lot to make it seem more transitional when I want to pursue my CFA studies. But if you ask me, it's definitely mainly because of my interest, and it is very translatable to whatever that I could be doing right now in my career, and that is definitely the reason why I started. I thought of pursuing the CFA.
Good, very good, Jonathan. You are very motivating. I could ask you another one. What was your first experience in practical finance once you left Monash? Did you really start getting the interest that you have to pursue and complete your CFA? Because right now students do ask me a lot of things about CFA and when do they want to start and what can it do for them in their career development and so on.
Okay.
Can you please
Okay.
share what what was your first experience after Monash and how did you decide to pursue with the CFA?
Okay, so I'll answer this in two parts. What made me interested in finance? To be very, very honest, it was in my last year when I was studying in Monash. I went to Australia for the exchange program, and they had this elective, which is known as the equity markets. I believe that Monash Malaysia has the same kind of simulation, but because I experienced it in Australia, I think how it worked was we were basically in a class environment, and I think it was one of our assignments to be trading on specific stocks and all, and based on our P&L. I think the results of our assignment at the time was based on the P&L. So what Monash did was it basically taught me the hows in finance, how things work, and that has really triggered a lot of interest in me to move towards the whys. Why are things so practical, and why do you see certain types of movements? And knowing me as a person, I've always liked to touch on the macroeconomic of things, which was the main reason why I wanted to pursue a career in markets. Based on the second question on when is the right time for us to study the CFA, so from my experience and from my knowledge, I know people who have started immediately before graduating from their degree, and I know people who have started later on towards their career as well. I definitely belong to the latter group. My advice in this would be very, very dependent on one main thing. considering that CFA takes a lot of commitment and it takes a lot of time and energy as well, particularly for someone who has started, someone who is working. My best advice on when to start the CFA examination would solely be dependent on whether you feel that you would want to spend the next few years, the next 3 to 5 years in this field, or whether you see yourself entering into this specific into the investment management industry as well. And I think if it's a yes for either of these two, and if you feel that you are willing to commit a considerable amount of time on it for you to participate in this, then I would suggest you to enter. So it's not really a question of more of your age on when you should be entering. I think it's more of a mindset thing, a mentality. When you feel that you're ready, then you should go for it. Because if I'm not mistaken, the average age of CFA participants varies for each level itself. And if I'm not wrong, for level 3, the average age was about 28 to 29 years old globally. So it shows that it gives you two indications. Number one, the CFA examination is not really restricted to age. And secondly, the interest has always been there, regardless of how old an individual is. Whether you're in your 20s or your 30s or in your 40s, you do see candidates around the age range as well.
How many years or how many months did you take to complete all the levels of your CFA?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question. I did I attempted the level 1 examination twice when I was 23 and 24. To be very honest, I think the main reason why I failed at the time was because I did not take the exam seriously enough. So that was one of the reasons why I feel that my advice to students was to only take it when you feel that you're ready. Subsequently, I took a year break and I retook the level 1 exam when I was 26, finished it, took level 2, so I took level 1 again when I was 26 December, took level 2 in June 2018 when I was 27, and I took level 3 last year. So if you were to include the cycle where I had my first and my second attempt, I think it has taken me about 5 years. But if you were to look at the timeline where I passed my level 1, level 2, and level 3 consecutively, I think it took me about 18 months to complete it.
18 months. In total, it's 18 months of real study.
I mean, no excuse for my first 2 attempts, but yeah, from the time I passed, it's about 18 months.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Chimeng, do you have anything to ask?
Yes. Jonathan, I mean, just as an independent bystander, I just want to ask you some questions. Yeah. Now,
sure.
You work as a forex interest rate and commodity dealers, and we know that the market never sleeps. Yeah, especially the forex market. So, how do you stay on top of the market movement and development? You know, yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah.
That's a very good question. So apart from our normal working hours, we normally try to clock in by 7:30 a.m. And market usually closes at 6 p.m. It feels that being in markets is sometimes like a lifestyle, and it's more of a very fulfilling career more than just a job. And the main reason why I say this is because apart from the trading hours that we are required to be in office most of the time, we normally try to be updated on things during off working hours as well. So what we normally do is, in order for us to prepare ourselves for the next day, at the same night itself, we normally read a lot of articles that we feel that would actually impact the Malaysian market, whether it is the ringgit or whether it's the IRS or whether it's the CLIBOR curve or whether it's the CPO prices. We would normally try to read on specific things that would impact the Malaysian market and would create specific types of exposures to our clients as well. But even by having said that, one interesting thing about global markets is that it's not only tradable during the working hours in Malaysia, because it is an international market whereby it's open in every other countries as well. So sometimes you feel that even though the Malaysian market is closed, by specific news or by specific trends that you see during off working hours in Malaysia, it may have an impact towards our country as well the following day. So it's very, very important for us to constantly try to be updated by reading news, even over the weekends. and to see what are the relevant things that might cause an impact to our clients as well.
Okay, right. Another question is, I mean, again, as a forex and interest rate and commodity dealers, do you really need to be a quantitative person? Because I've gotten a friend who works as a trader as well with a multinational in London when I was in UK. So he basically, his first degree is in engineering. So do you really need to be in a real quantitative person, you know?
To be honest, I would say that having quantitative skills, a considerable amount of quantitative skills would be essential. But if you ask me to specialize in quants, or whether it is the most important thing when it comes to being in this department, is no. The main reason why is because in the global markets team itself, there are various departments, or there are various teams that you are able to be inside. So the main three umbrellas that we would usually have, the main two umbrellas is either sales or trading. So based on the specific niche that you have, or based on the specific skill sets that you think you're good at, it's not necessary that you need the quantitative skills in every specific team as well. But having said that, like I've repeated earlier before, I think having a strong foundation in math is good, but I wouldn't say that it's the deciding factor when it comes to wanting to. But the thing is that I think most people will need to understand that the nature of our job consists of looking at numbers all day in and day out. So it's definitely a must that that dealers or traders, they need to be very comfortable with numbers in order for them to join in this team.
Thank you for sharing. Another question is that on reflections, what are your main learning points as a forex, interest rate, and commodity dealers? You know, because you learn along the way for the past 7 years or so. What are the main learning points that you can maybe want to share with the final year student who are interested to be a forex or interest rate or commodity dealers one day? They may be interested to join this profession.
Okay, sure. So I'll break this into two parts: technical and interpersonal. In terms of technical skills, I would say that it is very important for students to be able to build a very strong foundation, especially in treasury management. And the main reason why I say that is because I think treasury or global markets could be one of the most technical departments in a bank as well. So it's very, very important for students to have a strong understanding on the macroeconomics of how news and how news would basically cause an impact, the cost and the relation of a specific asset class, but also at the same time to be able to deep dive into the mechanics of how a specific product works. For example, if it's an FX option, what are the four areas that will actually impact the price of the option? How is it usually priced? And the practical sense of it as well. How are we able to help the clients to be able to hedge into a position that will remove their risk, or whether they will be trading for a bank? In terms of interpersonal, which is something that I think you will be able to learn along the job, it's basically two things. Number one is to have the ability to deal with your stakeholders, and number two, which is very important, the ability to deal under pressure. The main reason why it's very important to deal under pressure is because sometimes the price swings could be very large, and in order for you to be able to execute your trades in a very calm manner, you should always try to be calm, and you should always try to be rational when it comes to making these kinds of decisions. As you are not only representing yourself, you're representing your bank and your company as well when you're dealing with external people, or whether you're dealing with other banks. So it's very important for everyone to keep a cool head, especially when you see that the swings could have a very large impact in your P&L.
Dr. Jothee, please.
Jonathan,
Yes.
I'd like to ask you one specific question.
Sure.
How much did your CFA qualification help you in your daily work? Right now, assuming that you didn't do your CFA,
Yes.
how you'd have changed your way of thinking?
Okay, that's a really good question. Yeah, I have a lot of people have asked me that as well. So I would say that in terms of relevancy, I think maybe it's about 30 to 40% of what I learned. The main reason why you don't see me saying 80 to 90% is because generally speaking, CFA is very broad. It covers a lot of things from equities to fixed income to quants, accounting, and etc. And the CFA program is usually built for people who want to be on the research side, or it's usually focused towards more to people who want to be under portfolio management. But if you look at the types of career that people normally do have with the CFA charter holder, you can see that it's very wide. You have consultants, you have relationship managers, you have people from accounting background who pursue the CFA as well. How this has helped me is that it builds a very strong foundation when it comes to going down to the granular level for me to be able to do specific things in my day-to-day. And it has helped me to learn and to pick up things a lot faster. I would say that it gives me the advantage because the unique thing about CFA is that because it is so wide, it complements my job scope really well because what I require to do is it usually requires us to have the mental agility to be able to think on the spot and to be able to come up with customizable solutions for our clients. So from in that aspect, because it gives me to think faster and based on whatever that I have learned, it has helped me to collect my thoughts and to come up with a solution that is faster as well.
Good. Just another thing. There's a little bit of confusion now. I wish you can answer me this. Students are a bit confused about CFA, CFP, and CPA. Because all are starting with CF, they are confused. So they do come and ask me, sir, can I do CFP? I say, are you going to do CFA or CFP? Then they don't know which one. And then they also come and ask me about CPA. Right now, as a student who have gone into the CFA and passed it, and you're a professional now, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
That's why I'd like to ask you,
Thank you so much.
how do you differentiate this thing? This will help students to specifically focus on CFA rather than talking about CPA and CFP.
Okay. I think just to clarify, it really depends. How I can break this down for clarity is I break it down to two different umbrellas. So the CPA, which is the Certified Public Accountant, is it? It is more towards accounting, whereas CFP and CFA is more towards finance. So that's the biggest difference. Whereas for CFP and CFA, I think certified financial planners are usually more focused towards individual planning of an individual person's wealth or estate planning. Whereas CFA covers focuses more towards large-scale corporate solutions. So, like for example, but then again, I just need to say a caveat that this is just based on my general knowledge. So in terms of specifics, I may not be the best person to say, but from what I understand, CFPs are usually they want to be able to manage their individual portfolio in the long term. So CFA is more for individual planners. Like if you want to plan your insurance, your individual tax, you want to plan your financials, how are you gonna be, how much of savings you want to have by the time you retire and everything. I think individuals who are more interested towards adding value to individuals will consider the CFP. Whereas CFA would more be focusing on large-scale corporate solutions. So you'll be analyzing companies, their financial statements, the multipliers, and the company itself, whether this is healthy or not, whether this is a company that you want to be investing in. And then from there, you can think of specific asset classes that would help the company to move forward. And how do you actually plan and analyze a company itself? So that's the biggest difference between these two. CPA is definitely more focused towards accounting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically a professional accounting paper.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different from the CFPs and the CFAs lah.
Okay. Jonathan, yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah.
Jonathan, yeah, you've touched us on a little bit on the your job just now. I just want to ask you a bit more about what qualities that the employees are looking for in a fresh graduate who is interested to be a forex, interest rate, or commodity dealers. So, what qualities are the employees looking for?
Okay. Okay. That's a really good question. So there are a few things that employers normally look for, especially for fresh graduates. Number one, like what you've mentioned earlier, candidates need to be very comfortable with numbers.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that they need to be very good at it, because at the end of the day we have spreadsheets and we have calculators for students to be able to use them in their day-to-day. But when I say comfortable, what I mean is that they need to be able to know how to translate the numbers to make sense of it from a very logical standpoint, and
Right.
they need to be able to see how do different numbers provide different implications to a specific companies and things like that as well. Secondly, depending on which path that they're looking at, whether it's sales or trading, for salespeople, they tend to want people who are very comfortable with others, who are really good when it comes to dealing with people. Whereas traders, I think one of the main things that they look for traders is the ability to handle a huge amount of pressure as well, because they'll be taking a lot of positions for the bank. They'll be trading a lot. So in this case, ability to deal with pressure is very, very important. It's usually very instinctual whether they want to hire someone, because I think at the end of the day, whatever that you have in your CV is definitely important for you to land an interview. But ultimately, whether they hire you or not, it really, really depends on your quantitative skills and your ability to deal under pressure.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate that very much.
Sorry, and just one more thing. The last thing I would say is the interest in the department as well, because because we always see people coming in as a career, considering how niche is it. They are always interested to look to hire people who will be in for the long run. Because this is definitely a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Okay, right. Thanks for sharing.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a very passionate question. I don't know. How many times have you ever thought of quitting?
Okay, that's well, I'm pretty sure that everyone in their career, no matter what they do, they always have had this question. I can't really quantify the number of times. I wouldn't say it's a lot. No, I would say that it's little. But I think what's more important over here is that even though I have thought about it many, many times, or I have thought about it throughout the course of my career, it's usually very, very difficult for me to make a decision to leave, because I know for a fact that I have a very strong passion in this department.
That's right.
And I mean, internally there are push and pull factors as well. So internally, I feel that this is a very dynamic department. It's very vibrant, and also at the same time, it's a really, really exciting place to be. I've always liked the idea of providing solutions to my clients, and I always find it fulfilling that not only am I able to do it in the corporate space, I am able to do it in a bank, which is something that I've always been interested in. Externally, I tried doing a comparison against other places or other industries that I feel that might be interesting to me as well. But at the end of the day, no matter how much I looked at it, I think banking is always the first thing that I always wanted to be looking at lah. So no matter how I think about it, I mean for the foreseeable future, I mean definitely I do think about it, but it's not my intention to be leaving anytime soon now.
Well, just another one question. What is your next step? What are you moving to the next step?
So my next step would be, so what I'm planning to do right now is that because I've been in this role for about 4 years already, So what I'm thinking to do is to continue to grow in the technical side of things, and when it comes to managing the different kinds of sets of portfolios. I'm currently managing the commercial business in my bank itself. But moving forward, I hope that maybe I'll be able to move on to manage the financial institutions, or maybe perhaps some of the MNCs around as well. It will probably give me a bigger. It will probably escalate or provide me with an elevation when it comes to learning more things, into dealing with different types of people, and also when it comes to building technical expertise in different areas. So this is definitely one of the areas that I'm currently looking at. Educational wise, I told myself to take a break after I've completed my CFA examination. But I've always been interested to pursue more in my studies. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of sometimes I feel like education is one of the things that I want to be doing as well. But as of this moment right now, I'm just thinking once I'm done with my break, I would either consider taking the CAIA, the Chartered Alternate Investments Analyst certification, or I might be thinking of doing thinking of doing an MBA as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
Just one question. I think again, as an independent bystander, this question may be of interest to us because we know the fintech is the big word now, yeah, and we're just wondering how fintechs is affecting the FX interest rate and commodity markets, because we know this market are highly regulated. Are we going to see democratizations of this market? I don't know. You surely know better than us. You know, at least perhaps you can give us some insights. You know, yeah, and maybe you may run your own platform one day. You never know. You know,
I think you definitely do see like a lot of competition from in the fintech space globally. And I think even in the Malaysian market as well, you do see a number of companies right now that are offering a lot of solutions that banks provide as well.
Right.
So not only banking, but if you see from a mutual fund perspective, you do have a number of companies right now that are offering individual clients to invest their excess cash as well. So this is definitely a good thing for the economy, because end consumers will have a wider range of options to be looking at. I see this as a great thing in the banking space and for the larger corporates as well, because by having these fintechs to be constantly competing, it allows us to not take things for granted. It always keeps us on the edge, and it always has to ensure that we would remain competitive throughout the times. But if you say in terms of market share, or in terms of on how big is it in Malaysia, I would think that relatively speaking, it's still something new as compared to other countries, but it's definitely an area to grow as well.
Okay, again, sorry, Dr. Jothee, just one more question.
You go ahead.
So how do you see the rise of renminbi? Because really the man to speak to,
Renminbi is Chinese currency.
Yeah, the Chinese currency,
Chinese renminbi.
Yeah.
Okay. So the interesting thing about renminbi is that I think renminbi has been liberalized quite a number of things. You can see that if you look at the FTSE, the World Government Bond Index, they are looking to increase the weightage of renminbi as well. So moving forward, I think considering how the Chinese economy is growing, and barring that the trade tension, the US and China trade tension is to be settled later on, I do see potential upside in the renminbi. You can see a lot of articles that have spoken about how renminbi might take the USD over as the #1 currency. I think it's too soon for us to say on that, but considering how much of contribution China has in the global economy, in terms of GDP, in terms of the industrial growth, and how much it has helped trade relations, and how many countries have depended on China when it comes to doing business, I do see that renminbi being an area to grow in the future.
Right. Dr. Jothee, please. Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan,
Yes.
we have many students now,
Yeah.
like you,
Yeah.
how you were in 2011, 2012.
Mhm.
See, what advice could you give to these students how to start to go into CFA, or how will the CFA as a professional qualification help them in their career, like what you have achieved?
Okay. Okay. So one really good thing about one thing about when it comes to starting this is always ask, number one is always ask yourself, why are you doing this? Whether it is something for you to it's to help you in your career to grow, or whether you're doing it because you want to achieve the gold standard in finance, because that's what most people claim CFA is. Always ask yourself that before you pursue it. And when you're in the midst of pursuing it, always ask yourself, what is it that you want to achieve when you are done with the papers? Whether this would help you to, whether it meets the initial goal that you have. And then secondly, always plan ahead. The CFA examination takes about an average of 300 hours per paper for you to complete, 3 hours of study time to complete. But most of my friends and I, we would definitely take more. We would normally study 400 to 500 hours per paper. So considering that you're currently working, you will be working right now, it definitely takes a toll on your, on your body, physically and mentally. But having said that, it's something that is definitely doable as well. So you always need to have that motivation for you to be able to do it. There's gonna be a time where, like you said, Mr. Jothee, and Shiming along the way as well, that sometimes you may tell yourself that you want to quit, how you want to quit your job. But always ask yourself, and this is what my lecturers have told me as well, always ask yourself, when you are at your low, always remind yourself, why are you doing this? And that was one of the ways that I've always tried to motivate myself to work harder, even though I was in the midst of giving up. And one more thing that I would like to say is that if you have a group of friends who are doing it with you, it's always very good to have that support system to be able to help each other as well. Whether for motivational reasons or whether it's because, some people might be better at certain specific subjects, specific topics, and they can complement one another. So having a support group is definitely really good as well.
Would you advise students in the third year now in finance to start doing CFA Level 1 program?
It depends, I would say. I would encourage students to do it if it does not affect their academic results in Monash. I would encourage them to do it if they can manage their time.
Allocate the time, yeah, right.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage them to do it in the event if they feel that CFA is one thing for them in the long run. Because I know that the passing rate is relatively low. And because of that,
level,
the dropout rate is really high as well. The passing rate is usually about 40 to 50% for level 1, level 2, and it's only about 50% for level 3. So people who pass 3 levels consecutively is only about 6 to 8% of people who take it.
So low.
And the dropout rate is really high. So only do it early when you are ready. Only do it early when you are prepared to go all the way. I would usually encourage people to do it only if they're willing to go through all the way. So they need to really plan ahead. If you're a student and you're not sure whether finance is for you, I wouldn't recommend you to do it. Even if you want to do level 1, just out of curiosity, I would say that there are a lot of resources out there, especially in this age right now, for you to see whether you would want to be interested in this field or not. So I wouldn't recommend someone to pursue CFA unless they're really serious about it. And if they have made the decision to do it when they're young, sure, why not?
They would take it as just another additional qualification for their BBA. Then they have got the CFA, and they have got all the C's behind their names.
I think, yeah. I know a lot of people who do that, but the problem is that because to be very honest, CFA needs a lot of dedication. So
that's right.
So if you are those and you don't have like a stronger motivation, the tendency of you to drop out is very, very high.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people who want to do it for fun and they don't usually like they don't usually finish all the way now. So
I see.
you need to have a very, very strong motivating factor for you to do it. But I do know people who do it when they're young as well, and they complete it at a very young age. I also know people who are in their 40s and who have just completed it as well.
Good.
So, like I said earlier, it really, really depends on what your motivation is. And if it's strong enough, by all means, you can, you should do it.
Good. Chiming, do you have any other questions?
Okay, we have discussed a little bit on the rise of renminbi, and how do you see again the rise of digital currency? Digital currency, especially I think PBOC, People Bank of China, I think,
China.
is pushing pretty hard on this. Again, you know much better than us, because in the game, we can say, maybe you can share a bit of
Sorry, what was
insight.
your question again?
I mean, we have discussed the rise of renminbi potentially, and now because of fintech, we also see the use of digital currency. Okay, and especially I think the People Bank of China is pushing pretty hard on this. So what's your view on this? Yeah, of course you know much better than us. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so can I just clarify first that the digital currency that PBOC is offering, it's basically a form of payment and it's not a cryptocurrency.
Yes, I think it's form of payment. Yeah.
Okay, so if its value is hedged against a specific currency, then I guess in this moment right now you can definitely see a strong positive impact moving forward, because number one, you're going paperless, you're saving the environment, and number two, it has an intrinsic value as well if it's hedged against a specific currency. So in terms of that, I would definitely encourage it. But if I'm not mistaken, I understand that China has also banned cryptocurrency exchanges, is it? So if your question is towards how paperless payment would help the economy, I would definitely support it, because you can see that even in Malaysia, you have a lot of forms of digital payments already. Digitalization is very renowned and is very prominent in the current space right now. But if you're talking about cryptocurrency itself, I would think that it definitely has its value. But what is its fair value? It's something that's very hard to determine, because I think you're well aware of the crash in 2018.
Yes.
And it was something like it was more of like an overheating iron at the time that a lot of people wanted to participate in without knowing what kind of value it actually brings. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't disregard its value or to its benefit, but I think for cryptocurrencies right now, we probably need a deeper understanding first of how valuable it is to the world globally. And from there, I think we will.
Hello.
But just to answer your question, if it's solely based on PBOCs, then yes, I would support it. I would definitely support it. I think it's a good form of electronic standards, digitalizations that will help the economy as well.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that once again.
One last question, Jonathan. What is your advice to our final year students now? Maybe I am repeating this question, but just specifically, based on your career path, your journey, and with the current situation in Malaysia and the worldwide with this COVID and all these problems, what is your genuine advice to our students now who are in the final year?
Okay, definitely three things. Number one is plan ahead. Learn as much as you can to pursue what you want in future. Secondly, study hard. Make sure that if you are planning to graduate this year, please try to graduate. Yes, and last but not least, have fun, enjoy the journey, because it's definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity that people will go through to complete their undergraduates and their MSc if they would like to do it. So definitely enjoy the process. Make as much friends as you can. Do as many things as you like in your free time, whether it's curricular activities. Well, as the saying goes, if you're someone who parties, do it responsibly as well. Unfortunately, you can't do it now during COVID, but
COVID.
yeah, just enjoy as much
Yeah.
as you can.
Thanks, Jonathan. Very good
Yeah.
advice you're giving
Yeah.
now.
Thanks.
And
Thanks.
very, very insightful to have you. I think your advices and all these things will really enlighten our current students to go
Thanks.
follow your path as a successful person in finance. It's very good. Siming?
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I have
I leave
no
it to
more
Siming now.
question. I really appreciate that you are able to join us today, sharing your experience, your insight, your knowledge,
Okay.
and especially you take time off. Yeah, I really appreciate that to join our accounting and finance leader series. Yeah. So,
Thanks. Yes.
Marvin, do we have any word for Jonathan?
Well, just thank you, Jonathan, again, and I hope it was a good sharing and good insights for our students. We look forward to having you in more of our engagements, and yeah, thanks again for taking time off your weekend to spend.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. If you don't mind me saying something, I mean, like, yeah, I really, really appreciate this. I'm so sorry that things have to change in terms of schedule at very short notice.
No problem.
Moving forward,
No
I'll be
worries.
very happy to keep in touch with anyone.
Yeah.
If any of you, any of you would like to, you can add me on my LinkedIn profile as well. It's basically my full name. I think it's Jonathan Lim. You'll be able to see me there. For the rest of the students as well, in future, I mean, once you see this video, you'd like to keep in touch, please feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn, or please feel free to add me as well. I'll be more
Thank
than
you very
happy
much,
to
Jonathan.
answer if you have
Thank
any
you very much for
Jonathan,
kind
thank you
assistance.
very much indeed. Stay safe, yeah, and wish you all the best in your career.
Yeah,
okay?
thanks.
Wish you all the very
Thanks, thank you
best.
so much.
And stay safe,
Thank you.
stay healthy,
All right.
yeah. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
take care. Take care.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thanks.
That's the
Thanks.
session we have with Mr. Jonathan Lim today, CFA, holder. So until we see again in this series. Bye bye. Okay, thank